Seeley Lake sees the worst air quality on record due to dangerous wildfire smoke.
The president has been invited to tour the devastation left by Montana wildfires.
And Whitefish voters consider spending millions for a brand new elementary school.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Jill Valley.
And I'm Dennis Bragg. It's rough on everyone in western Montana with this fire smoke, but our hearts go out to the residents of Seeley Lake, where the smoke was so bad today it set another record, hitting a level 18 times more than what is considered safe.
Sarah Cofield with the Missoula City County Health Department says the concentration of particulate matter in Seeley Lake yesterday saw a 24-hour average of 623.5 micrograms. It's only supposed to be about 35 micrograms in a 24-hour period. That'd be typical, but smoke from all the major wildfires in western Montana continues to blanket the region. It also socked Missoula and the Bitterroot Valley in as well. Air quality in the Flathead Valley is also taking a hit as the Sprague Fire and the Gibraltar Fire have been pushing smoke into the area. Air quality was moderate, but it jumped to very unhealthy yesterday. Light winds had the smoke pushed into the valley. It has now settled in and hasn't moved much at all. The Flathead City County Health Department says those who have health conditions should not participate in physical activity. In fact, you should stay inside. In fact, most people should when it's this bad because those microscopic particles can do some serious damage to your health. Wendy Jacobs tells us these conditions will probably be the same for the immediate future.
We've been now under a high pressure system since the smoke moved in like Monday night, I believe this kind of happened. So until we get some sort of weather to push, to change the conditions in the valley, and it would mean a big movement of air. We're sort of stuck under these conditions. So from what I've been reading and hearing, that is not supposed to happen at least through the weekend.
With an update.
Yeah, we're going to be lucky enough to see some air movement potentially tomorrow with some thunderstorms moving into the region, but we might have to wait until Saturday to see something big enough to help scour out at least a little bit of this smoke. Air quality alerts remain in place until further notice, rightfully so. Hamilton today, our First Security Bank ICAM. What we're going to see happen is a cold front approach the region here. So tomorrow ahead of it, we will see a southwesterly flow, increasing that threat for a couple of thunderstorms. But then as the front pushes through on Saturday, that's when we'll see the wind. Sunday is looking much cooler with highs in the 70s, but overall this smoky pattern will stay put for a little bit longer.
U.S. Democratic Senator Jon Tester invited President Donald Trump to tour the wildfire devastation in Montana, where more than 1 million acres have gone up in smoke.
But I really think it's critically important that the president could come out and take a look at these fires and see the damage and destruction and see the huge amount of land mass that is taken in. And if we could get President Trump and the director of FEMA to come out, I think it could help better help him understand the impacts of these fires and also understand the need for some help and support to get these folks back on their feet that have been impacted by the fires.
Meanwhile, Governor Steve Bullock is hoping the federal government will send more money to Montana to help with the escalating fire bill, especially as the state's coffers run dry. Bullock made the trip to Washington, D.C. today to appeal to the Federal Emergency Management Agency Administrator Brock Long for additional help with the vicious fire season, which has now consumed, as we said, over 1 million acres. It's a particular problem for the state with firefighting funds depleted by the long season, which has dragged on for months. Bullock asked Long to have FEMA staff expedite the review of Montana's request for additional money, which provide a 75% share of costs in those grants for fighting wildfires. That includes fire camps, equipment, and supplies. He also asked about spending the money for multiple fires instead of a single incident. FEMA has already given us grants helping with the Lodgepole Fire in central Montana and the Lolo Peak Complex Fire here in western Montana.
Moving on to some fire specifics now tonight. The Rice Ridge Fire near Seeley Lake saw minimal growth yesterday. It now stands at 121,000 acres burned. There are hundreds of structures still threatened, though, by the Rice Ridge Fire, and previous evacuation orders and warnings for Missoula and Powell counties remain in effect. A public meeting about the Rice Ridge Fire is happening tomorrow at 6 o'clock p.m. at the Ovando Elementary School gym.
Meanwhile, the Highway 200 complex fires near Thompson Falls and Plains have consumed nearly 19,000 acres, while Western Montana's Type 2 Incident Management Team says their resources are being stretched to cover each of those fires. Fire information officers say air support has been grounded for 3 days now due to the incredibly heavy smoke in the lower Clark Fork that's suppressed some fire growth. About 500 residences are threatened throughout the complex. Most concerns still around that Sheep Gap fire that lies west of Plains. All evacuation warnings remain the same tonight. The smoke has slowed fire growth this week, but winds this activity may bring some more fire activity.
Tomorrow we've got some clouds coming in, some moisture. There's probably not going to be a lot of rain with that, but there could be some very light showers. But that's all ahead of a cold front that comes through on Saturday, and the main impact with that cold front is some very strong west winds behind it.
There are some structures near Plains and Thompson Falls that lie in the path of any fire growth. Fire managers are preparing containment lines to account for eastward fire growth due to those possible winds coming out of the west.
The smoke is helping after a fashion by suppressing fire activity with cooler temps and higher humidities. That's certainly the case on the previously raging Lolo Peak fire, which has seen limited growth this week and now encompasses 49,000 acres. There continues to be some areas with active burning, and crews have been working fire lines and mop-up operations, especially south of Florence.
Smoke also helping to lay down the Myers fire burning south of Phillipsburg. There are still some residences at risk in the Moose Lake, Frog Pond, Billy Spring Memorial Park, and Bonanza Lands areas. That blaze has consumed over 57,000 acres now in Granite and eastern Ravalli counties. Firefighters are bracing for another possible run by the Sprague fire burning in the Glacier High Country above Lake McDonald. Today they laid thousands of additional feet of equipment to protect Lake McDonald Lodge and the more than 100 buildings in that complex. The sprinklers will wet down large areas for a fire break in case the 13,000 acre blaze drops into the valley. The valley remains closed to public access.
We now know it was a Missoula man in his late 30s who was killed after being struck by a car on the city's busiest street. Missoula Police Sergeant Travis Welsh tells KPAX 2 people were crossing at the intersection of South Avenue and Reserve Street around 4:30 this morning when the victim was hit by a passing car. The Missoula County Sheriff's Office has identified him as 39-year-old Shane Madsen from Missoula. Highway Patrol troopers are helping MPD with the investigation, and the driver who was involved is cooperating. The northbound lanes of Reserve were closed for several hours.
Missoula police also investigating an assault that left an 18-year-old man with 20 staples in his head. It happened Tuesday evening at Craig Lane near McCormick Park. Missoula Police Department spokesman Travis Welsh tells us details are still scarce, but they do know the victim reported his attacker as a skinny 6-foot-tall white man wearing a black hoodie and gray shorts. Cell phone video making the rounds on social media alleges to have captured the assault. It shows a brutal attack with 4 assailants punching and kicking the victim, as well as one person hitting the victim with what appears to be a baseball bat. Now, the video appears to match the known details of the investigation, and Missoula police say they are aware of the clip, but Welsh says no connections have yet been made specifically linking the video to their investigation.
As I understand, our lead investigator on this particular case is aware of it, and he's in the process of reviewing it and trying to make those connections if they exist. They could be related to the same incident that we are investigating, but those determinations have yet to be made.
If you have any information related to the investigation, you can contact the Missoula Police Department.
Still ahead, Aaron digs a little deeper into our weather outlook that could bring some thunderstorms. A new elementary school in Whitefish will cost $26 million, but will voters go for it? Our story ahead.
And later, a group that helps kids stand up to bullying is reaching out to help fire victims. That's also ahead here on NTN.